Howdy, all, Molex Lives. I think it's time to play a little 7 Days to Die. Alright. So I was looking through my list of recipes, and I noticed that there's a couple of things in here that I need. One is the bicycle, but the other is I can finally make... Where did I see that? It had to be here? It looks like I can make a mining helmet. Polymers, leather, duct tape, sewing kit. Sewing kit, polymers, leather, duct tape. I'm not wearing a mining helmet right now. But I desperately, desperately need one. And the other one I want is the bot. No, that's not how you spell bicycle. Bicycle. Alright, so I need forged iron, mechanical parts, duct tape, leather, springs. Those are electrical. Forged. Oop, that's steel. Ooh, I don't have a lot of forged iron. Was pipes in there? Springs were in there, I think. I don't have many springs. I made mechanical parts either. Oh, man. What do I have over here? Oh, good. Okay, do I have to make the chassis? Oh, yeah, it didn't take that much. Ooh, but now I can't afford the handlebars because I don't have enough mechanical parts. Or springs. Dang it. Alright, but I did make this, and this is... Nope. I don't... What is the button to turn it on? I thought it was like E or something. What would it even be under? Oh, here it is. It's F. Why does this not work? Dang it. You know what? Because it's a helmet, it doesn't have a light. Okay. Let's see if I can make the mod, then. It's the mod. I forgot. I got all excited, and if it is a mod, I can't make it yet. Helmet light mod. Yeah, it's right there. Oh, now I feel sad. I wasted supplies on this helmet that I didn't need. Dang it. Alright, well, do I have a wrench? I don't have a wrench, do I? I do have a wrench. Okay, right there. Let's unload my supplies here. We gotta go tear apart some cars. Time to tear apart some cars. Yeah, it's it's been a bit. I'm not gonna lie. I had a rough month. Cold wise, just was what, Thanksgiving. I think everybody here started coming down with a cold, and then I got it. I don't remember. I think I had it at Thanksgiving. It was just like, it was like a week or two long, and it was just like this terrible cough, and head congestion, and just would not stop. And then, I stopped recording because it's annoying to edit out a million coughs, and I was getting a sore throat every time I talk, because I have a gaming group I meet up with a couple times a week, and so I'd get done with a session with those guys, and my throat would just be killing me, and I could barely speak the whole next day, and so I was like, alright, I'm gonna take a little break, and then, I started feeling better, and so I recorded a couple of videos, and then the sore throat came back, only this time it didn't go away after, a night's sleep. It stuck around for like a week. And if I talked, then I would start to cough, which obviously does not feel good with a sore throat. And so that lasted about a week. And then okay, I need mechanical parts and springs. Yeah, I feel like we gotta get a few more. I didn't look to see exactly how many I needed. And then, dude, the week after that, I came down with COVID, which for me, COVID, I've had it twice now, and it's like someone took a spike wrapped in cotton and just drive it through your cheekbones. And so my brain was just done. I couldn't stop coughing. I had a sore throat. I couldn't breathe. I mean, I could breathe. I couldn't breathe through my nose. My sinuses just swell completely closed with COVID. It's awful. The first time it happened, I thought I was going to have to go to the hospital. Because I was sure that my throat was going to swell closed, because I've never had my sinuses swell closed like happened. Because with the COVID, for me, it's not a gradual thing. It's like, oh, you don't feel well, and then all of a sudden you can just feel it. Whoop, and then you can't breathe. And I'm like, oh man. And so I'm sitting there on the edge of my bed going, can I breathe? Can I breathe? They usually only last a few hours though, and then I'm just stuck with a massive head cold, with coughing and a sore throat and all that. Maybe a day or two of fever. Was not fun for sure, and but yeah, that was the big disruption there. Wasn't much of a vacation from recording. I thought in my head, I'm like, man, this is like I'm taking a vacation from recording, but it wasn't really a vacation. It was, I missed recording. I like doing this. But I feel like I'm mostly over it. I feel, my throat feels a little, not sore, but a little hoarse sometimes. I can feel it right now. Sounds a little hoarse, but it's not bothering me or anything. I don't have any coughs or anything today, so but although to be fair, this might be the first time I've spoken all day. I haven't really seen anyone today. Oh no, that's not true. That's not true. I did see my sister. Uh, and then she said hi, and so I said hi back, and that was it. Um, but yep, that means, man, we haven't played any D&D since we don't know how long. A month at least. Yeah, it's ridiculous. Like, so there's two guys who DM, right? One's me, one's the Dem, as I call him. And so I ran a session, he ran a session, and then the next week I was sick, and I'm like, I can't talk for a session of D&D. It's just not happening. My throat is too bad, so you're gonna have to run D&D. He's like, oh well, I'm too tired to run D&D tonight. So we haven't run D&D since because I haven't been well, and he doesn't want to do it unless I'm running one, which is, I mean, it feels to me very childishly annoying. Like, I'm running D&D, so he wants to run D&D, but if I'm not running D&D, he doesn't want to run D&D. Like, what's the deal there? uh, because me saying, oh, I'm gonna attack with my guy and then roll some dice is a lot different than you enter the room, the walls are slick with dampness, that kind of stuff. Alright, let's hope I've got enough stuff now. We did, however, finish Valheim. I mean, I know Valheim is early access and it's not a completed game, but we have now defeated all of the available bosses. In fact, the last boss dropped a red cube that is a placeholder until they decide what should happen with that boss's treasure. It's an alright game. I'm not a big fan of stamina mechanics, I say, as I play a game with stamina mechanics. These are annoying, but they're not like, oh man, I've got no stamina. I can't get away. Valheim is like a Souls kind of game, sometimes it feels like, where you've got, oh, I don't need glue. Where you've got, these bad guys that are just right on top of you, and they're faster than you are. What did I make? I made the chassis. Now we'll make the handlebars. Oh, I can make the mini bike. Oh no, I can't make the mini bike handlebars. They're locked still. And then for the bicycle, I need the chassis, the handlebars, 2 wheels, and some mechanical parts. Do I have 2 wheels? I have 2 wheels. Nice. I don't have to make wheels. I just need this to finish, and then I will have a bicycle instead of doing all this walking. Bam. One fancy vehicle. Alright. This needs to scrap out. Wait, why weren't you on the pile with the other radiators? Come on, workbench, put my bicycle together. But it was alright game. I liked it. It it's one of those games though where it gets annoying because of the people you play with. And I would find it bizarre that I would spend a whole session hunting deer. And then I would come back and I would come back to base and the carrots wouldn't have been planted. Because the guy who decided to take over the planting, Dim, decided he didn't need any more carrots at the time, and he didn't care if anybody else needed carrots. And so then I'd have to plant all these carrots, and then I'd have to go off and do something else. And so then I'm scrounging with... oh, that thing is still going. You think it's still attracting zombies? Or can I shut it off now? I didn't know that would shut it off, but hey. Cool. So, so then, you know, I get the carrots planted, and then he'd come along and the carrots would be ready to harvest it, and he's like, I don't know why all these carrots are planted, and then he would pick them all up, and then he wouldn't plant anything again, and the field would just be sitting there empty. And so I'd come along, and I was doing 3 rows of things. So I'd do 3 rows of turnips, 3 rows of onions, 3 rows of carrots. And then I'd come along and the field would be empty again. But there'd also not be any food because he took all the food. And then I'm like, where's all the carrots? I still need carrots. He's like, oh, the carrots. Yeah, I threw them to the pigs. Great. So then you'd finally get carrots, and then, what was it? It was carrots. You could grow carrots, but you couldn't grow blueberries. You had to go and find those in the woods. And, and so then, I'd come back with deer meat, boar meat, and blueberries, and mushrooms toward the end. And then I would make up all of this deer stew. And if we could find wolves, which spawn in the mountains, which were hard to get to, then you come back with wolf meat and make wolf skewers. And then sausage with the boar meat. And so I'd make up all this food, and I'd put it in the food chest. And the trick with Valheim is that you don't have levels. You have levels of gear. And so all of your offensive and defensive skills come from your weapons and armor, but your hit points and your stamina levels all come from the food you've eaten, which I found to be a very annoying option, because there's a time limit on how long the food lasts, and every time you die, then the food you'd have to re-eat, because you just have no food when you respawned. And you could eat 3 different items. And so, like, we were doing, there was a thing called lox pies, and so you'd have to hunt these, basically buffaloes, but they call them lox. And so you get the meat from the lox, then you combine that with the barley from our barley field, and you'd make these lox pies. Well, Dim like to oh, and that's the other thing, is your food had 3 different stats on it. It was HP, stamina, and HP, stamina, and I don't think this is more city out here necessarily. This looks like it might be heading off to another place. Now that I've got the bicycle, I want to finish exploring the outer edges of this this little city here. See if I can't find those missing books I need. Maybe get away from some of these stone tools. Yeah, so yeah, HP, stamina, and then Eider, which is the magic, but that didn't come till way later. And so, oh, I don't have any. I'm not setting off the alarm on that thing. And so, because he avoided combat a lot, I mean, he would help out sometimes, but most of the time he was avoiding combat. So he would turn all of our raw ingredients into nice. I can use as many cooking books as I can get to get unlock those cooking recipes. But he would turn all the food he gets hands onto into stamina food because he would stay away from combat. And then when there was combat, he would just stand as far away as possible and fling a few arrows in there until our gear would get well above the level of whatever we were fighting. And, I mean, he had to fight bosses because we would go as a group. But, like the final boss, was in its own dungeon. And so you had to get this, key, to unlock the dungeon it was in. And the pieces for the key were in these infested mines. And so he would be back at base doing whatever it was he did, while me and the other guy wandered around in the wilderness looking for these infested dungeons. And then we'd come back, and then he'd have, like, the best gear. We've died half a dozen times trying to find these mines. We'd find the mine, the two of us would go in and clear them, and then once we had mostly cleared them, then he would run in and start looting everything. That happened multiple times. And he would use stamina food. The problem is that everything uses the same ingredients, and so every time his stamina dipped a little bit, which just means you gotta stand there and wait a second for it to fill back up, he'd run all the stamina food, and so there was no ingredients practically, because he was using them for other things. Well, he was using them for stamina food while not helping doing any of the hunting. And so it was really annoying. It was really annoying. Like, one day I spent 1 week, I spent 2 sessions hunting meat. And then I come back and I've planted all the crops that I need to make this deer stew, which was our main food source. And you can only eat it once every 25 minutes, basically. And unless you die, and then when you die, you've got to eat it again. So at most in a night, you might eat 10 stack of deer stew. Unless you're using these buke berries to vomit up your food so that you can swap between stamina and HP builds. And so, I spend a whole week gathering supplies and making this food, and then we do 1 night of hunting, and so deer stews stack in tens, and so I made like 80 stews, and we do 1 night of hunting, and then I'm out of food, and I go to get more food, and there's no deer stew. And I'm like, how is there no deer stew? Like, I don't understand. I made so much deer stew. Why is there no deer stew? And then he's standing in the base the entire session eating lox pies, which are the biggest HP boosters. It was just, it was driving me crazy. But yeah, we finally got through all that stuff, and apparently I've been here. And so we have finished Valheim. I have to say, like I said, I'm not the biggest fan of stamina dependent games. I know this one's got stamina, but I don't feel like you're bound so hardcore to the stamina that you can't get around not having stamina. Um, because it's like what I stab. What is a stab here at this level? At this level, it looks like I'm spending about 17-ish stamina, but it fills up pretty fast. In Valheim, it doesn't fill up fast, and it would take like 35% of your stamina to swing your. No, I guess it was an actual number, 35 of your stamina, but you only got like 100 to swing your sword one time, right? So you could do your 3-swing combo, and then you'd be out of stamina, which sucks. And then, and so if you want to do any kind of defensive moves, like a roll or a block with your shield, then that's going to eat up another 30 points of stamina. And so it was, it was like swing once, roll away, run around until your stamina, not run around, walk around until your stamina fills back up. Swing once, roll away. And so you're doing like 200 damage, but the bad guy's got like 150,000 hit points. And so I don't like anything where they expect me to spend 30, 40 minutes hitting something over and over again until it dies. Oh, and this doesn't help. As you may be aware, I am not very careful. When I'm playing a game, I die a lot. And that wasn't any different in Valheim. I'd be like, "Ooh, I could just 2 more hits and this thing will be dead. I'll get him, and then dead." And so Valheim had punishment mechanics for dying. And so if you... That's a factory. I don't want to go in a factory. Those are dangerous. If you die, then you get a deduction to the skill points you've earned. Because as you do something, you go up in the skill. And so the game ends. Only 2 of my skills are 20 points or higher. And the highest skill I had was 22. So what I'm saying is, I had 1 skill that was 20, 1 skill that was 22, and everything was below that. Everything. And then the other guys who are way more careful than me are running around with like 40 points in their highest skill. And I'm just like, yep, nope, not me. I died too many times. So that was, a little disappointing that your skills were so dependent on staying alive. In a game where you could accidentally swing one too many times and then die because you suddenly can't dodge or block. I mean, I guess if we stayed together as a group, it would have been better. But, when you're running around trying to find things, it's often easier to split up. The game itself was, other than the difficulty of combat wasn't like particularly difficult. It was just that it was in tiers, and so if you were in the tier below, or you just reached a tier, everything hit like super hard. Like stuff would one-shot you all the time. You'd be going along and then like a bug would come out for the final bit. And then that bug would hit me and I'd just be dead. Like, it literally dropped me from like 150 hit points to 0 just because I didn't block the one attack it did. Oh, weird. I was trying to open the door there and it looted the sink. So, oh, wasn't expecting. I mean, I guess I was expecting, but I didn't look. But yeah, the beginning of the game was definitely better than the end of the game. You start out and you're in like the little woodsy biome kind of thing, and you're building your base. And so that was fun, getting the supplies to build the base. And then once you had your base up and going, then it was just a matter of trying to get all the raw materials. And, you know, it's another thing that's really common in modern games that I think is stupid, is the need to harvest ungodly amounts of raw materials to do things. And so, you know, like you get your sword, good, and then you want to upgrade your sword. Well, to upgrade your sword, you need 50 ingots of bronze, 30 ingots of iron, 10 pieces of leather. Like, what kind of sword are you making? Oh, dang it. You dead. Nope, I can't. You get that door to open, so. And so I hate that. Want to build a wall? Well, you need 120 lumber from a tree that gives you, you know, 20 every time you knock down an entire tree, kind of thing. So I think that's dumb. So it had a bit of that in there. And the spear is doing excellent work today. I don't want your crossbow. And then the bosses were crazy. I think the first boss was decent. So the bosses were like, you gotta gather this material, or yeah, you gotta gather this material. I was trying to think. I think they're all like that. And then once you have enough of the material, then you can go and use it at the altar to summon the boss. And so the first boss was like this giant elk thing, and that wasn't too bad. Like, I felt like that was a decent challenge. And then the second boss though was insanely powerful compared to the first boss, and it was like throwing out ads, and it would send out like tendrils in the ground that would get you wherever you were at. And so we basically we cheesed it. We it was a treant, and so we got fire arrows, and then we stood as far away as we could and still hit it while it was basically trapped in its arena, and then we killed it from outside of its arena. Because every time we went anywhere near it, we died, and so it died. And then what was the one after the treant? Every tier had new sets of bad guys. So the first set of bad guys were these gray dwarf guys, and they were annoying, but I don't think they were really too bad. And then the second bad guy was second bad guy was the Treant. What was his summons thing? I don't even know. Was it the Draugr? They're like these drowned monsters that we had to fight. And then I know, and then in the mountains where the wolves were, yeah, the wolves. The wolves were so powerful at their tier that we basically ended up trading someone's life for every wolf pack we killed. And they come in like packs of 3. So we're not talking like a lot of wolves here. We're talking like we can kill one wolf and then someone's gonna die before we can get the next wolf dead kind of thing. Every time. And but then the boss for that level was like this dragon thing, and that was, or that tier, and that guy was pretty weak. We took him down pretty fast, and then we just made his attacks were like blizzards, and so we got frost potions to protect us from colds, and then our gear also protected us from colds, and so he could barely hurt us with his blizzard stuff. So we just had to avoid his. I want to say threw rocks or something down, and he died pretty easy. I might have died once during that boss fight, and then somewhere in there where we had made the potion stuff too, I got together all this stuff to start making potions, and then Dim. Well, first I did all this stuff to do farming, and then Dim took the farming stuff away from everybody. And then I did the stuff to make potions, and then Dim took away all the stuff to make potions. So then he was doing all the farming and potions. None of the hunting for food, obviously, because that was me and Zahn. And and so we would go into things, and he'd be like, "Oh, I've made all the potions we'll ever need," and then we got like 5 potions, and we're like, dude, every time we die we have to rebuff, and I'm definitely gonna go through more than 5 healing potions during a boss fight. What are you talking about, man? And so but yeah, we took down the dragon, and then I can't remember how many bosses there were. You know what, I missed one. There was the bone monster in the... Was he bone? He must have been. There was a bone monster in the swamp was the second one. We took that guy down pretty easy. And then was the dragon in the mountains. And then was... The worst one was this dude named like Yogloth. And it was just an insane fight where he had 3 different attacks, and he was massive. And he came out of his arena, and so on top of that, the arena that we ended up fighting him at, because usually they have multiple arenas, but the arena we ended up fighting him at had goblins, which were pretty dangerous to us, locks, which were dangerous to us, and then him, and a swamp pit, or tar pit, which spawns tar slimes on the other side of his arena. And so everywhere you go, you can't get away from him, and there's ads. And so he had one attack that did non-standard damage. So like instead of blunt force or slashing or something that your armor protects you against, he did mining damage, which is insane. And then his other attack caused the ground to catch on fire. And then his third attack was to pull meteors out of the sky, and they would just fling towards you wherever you were standing. And so that guy was tough. We went through our entire potion set the first time we tried, and we just died running out of potions, basically respawning back at base, running through the portals to get back to where he was at. And then getting torn apart by his meteors and all his other attacks, and it took us a long time to beat that guy. And then I think after him was the Mistlands. I don't think there was another bad guy in there after him. And then the Mistlands were stupid. I didn't like the Mistlands. They're called the Mistlands because you can't see anything. And everything is in really thick fog. And so until you get the supplies to make mist, what are those little guys called? The wisps. You made wisp torches or something like that. Wisp lights. I don't remember exactly what they were called. And then those guys would then fly around your head and take you from like 5 feet of being able to see out to like 30 feet of being able to see. So the whole end of the game, though, was running around in mist where you couldn't see anything, which you didn't enjoy. I did not enjoy that aspect. And then the queen fight was easy. She was so easy. Like, I died all the time, right? During the course of the game, all the time. And she only got me down to 10 hit points one time. And all the rest of it, I had plenty of health. She'd do this move where she would summon ads, but the ads were super weak. And she was really, really massive. And she'd do this move where she'd just all of a sudden move real fast in your direction. She was like a giant, I want to say insect, but she had like a snake's body and then an insect top half. Like a praying mantis top half with a snake tail. And so she would slither real fast in one direction. And so one time she did that and flung me into the corner with the ads and trapped me there. And it took me a little bit to get free. And by the time I could get free, of course, you have healing potions, but there's a time limit on how often you can use the healing potions. But we took her down without a death, so she was super easy compared to the Yogloth guy. Yeah, the food had a time limit on how long it lasted, which also included how often you could eat it. And on top of that, the amount of benefit you would get from the food would degrade over the lifespan of the food in your stomach. And so to get magic, you would have to eat food that gave you magic. And then when you go to cast your spells, at least for me, I could only cast a couple of times before enough time had passed that my amount of mana, or Aether, was below the level of the spell I was trying to cast at my max level. And so it's like, eat, cast your couple of skeleton summons, and then that's it for 20 minutes, 25 minutes. Unless you die, and then you re-eat. I guess you could eat eaten a buke berry and make yourself vomit up your food and then eat all that, but yeah, so we finished Valheim. It was okay. I didn't dislike it. I tried to play it solo once, but I think the bosses are a bit too crazy to be enjoyable for me. I know people really love like Souls stuff, but I'm not one of those people. And so I don't enjoy throwing my head against the wall over and over again until I finally get past the bad guy. I'd like a challenge, but I don't want it to be something that I'm going to be like, on my 73rd try to beat the first boss. I think I'm fully prepared now. Especially in a game where you can't, like, out-level or out-gear it. Because you're trapped by the tier. You gotta beat that boss to unlock the next tier. Because you start with copper. And so you've got to beat... No, you start with stone. And you gotta beat the first boss before you can unlock mining. And so then that gives you copper. And then I think that might also unlock bronze at that point. Copper, and then from copper to bronze. But you've got to get copper and tin in the bucketfuls to be able to make bronze. And then you have to beat the next boss to get the key to unlock iron, because iron's only found in dungeons that are locked. And so you get the key to unlock those dungeons. And so, yeah, I'm not a big fan of that tier stuff. I mean, I like a tech tree, but I don't like. I mean, this book stuff in this game is driving me insane right now. I hate the fact that I'm still on stone tools, but I can make an iron spear, but I can't figure out how to make an iron axe. Like, was that nonsense? I miss the days of just using points to unlock my recipes. But yeah, and now we're going to play V Rising. We've got a couple of sessions into that. V Rising is similar to Valheim. It's not stamina based though. You still run around and collect upgrades from beating bosses and build your castle and stuff. So there's similar types of games, but I think V Rising is a little more my style of gameplay. I don't dig the stab once, roll away. I'm out of stamina. Walk backwards away from the bug. Oh, my stamina's up high enough now. Wait for it to attack. Stab once, roll away. Now walk backwards till my stamina refills. Yeah, I'm not a fan of that kind of gameplay. So, all right. Well, with that, I'm gonna call it a day. Be brave in the small things, lean to the light, and I will talk to you later.